like re-get in the groove.
And
don't wake up our child. I can't stop swiveling.
I know. Our house came with swivel stools.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. They've
They're
got like backrests and everything.
But they're kind of ugly.
I will never get rid of these.
That's not true because you gave me reign of basement design. He traded that for carpet. He gets carpet rather than what I wanted. I get to control the design.
We have the hardwoods upstairs. Are we really going to have this argument right now?
Yeah, again.
So, I guess part one of this video is like the story behind, like, catch everybody up and ourselves when we want to look back on this later, like what our mindset was, what we were thinking during this whole season, and we haven't like vlogged or anything in months. So a little bit of a catch-up video.
He's not even gonna like remember what he looked like as a baby because.
Well, you got tons of cell phone videos, but
I know.
Like so. That's part one of the video. Part two is kind of like the future of this channel. Mm-hmm. So we'll put chapters in the description, and you can skip ahead and see, you know, part one is the story and kind of life update. And part two is like, okay, what's that mean for the future of this channel and what are our plans moving forward? So
yeah, so if you don't care about that, bye. I'm just kidding, stay around. We have been meaning to film this particular video for 8 months now. We are very backlogged, and I mean, honestly, I'm kicking myself because I really wish that we would have like filmed the whole process from like when we first found out that we might be moving to like, you know, like moving out, packing. I don't know. I just wish that we would have like filmed some of that, but it was just like so chaotic and so quick. We decided to move early April, was it? And then
it was in March. It was like shortly after COVID.
It was end of March though. And then early April was when we decided like, yes, let's do this. Because our house went on the market like April 6th or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was really random because we were like.
We were convinced we were staying.
Yeah.
Until we had that house like almost paid off, like at least. I don't know, we just had that in our minds. And we didn't think that we could afford to move, honestly. We just felt like we were maxed out there. We've had battled some medical debt for the last couple of years. And then I still had my student loans. I had $21,000 left on my student loans. Started at $36,000, so like $21,000 we were doing pretty good with that. But it just was still kind of like, I felt like we couldn't do anything about our situation until we were debt free. And
for the most part, we were content there. It was just like, what kind of started the whole thing was it's a smaller house and original wooden floors, so they creaked a lot. And Zeke was constantly waking Ezra up.
As a 2-year-old that was running around, and a newborn that was learning how to sleep, it just wasn't a good combination. And so
then we were like, well, is it possible to move? And you were looking at houses.
I always look at Zillow. Like
I
was on Zillow yesterday. Like I'm always on Zillow just because it's fun for me. I like to see what's out there, and I like to get ideas because sometimes some houses are flipped.
You talked to a loan officer.
So I just like contacted a loan officer and I was like, so what are we able to do? Because there's this house that was in this neighborhood that we didn't love, but the house for the price would have been worth it for us to have more space to house family. That was a big thing too. We lost our guest room. Both of our families are out of town. We love to host people, and the space just wasn't like, it didn't work for that very well. Like we made it work, but so anyway, we saw this house, and so it made me contact this loan officer just to see like what was possible. And like sure enough, it was like almost $100,000 more than what we were approved for in the beginning. And so I was like, oh gosh, that gives us a lot more options. But then just because you're approved for something doesn't mean you don't want to necessarily go up to that.
You don't want to be house broke.
Yeah, so we did a lot of math and a lot of thinking, and then that house we ended up putting an offer in on, and it got denied because there was someone else that just like came in with a better offer. Yeah, and we were contingent because our house wasn't even on the market yet, even though I was like, it's going to sell. Like I knew it was going to sell, but I also knew that like people just don't accept contingent offers if there's a better one. So, but that was kind of what got the ball rolling for us, was that one house. And then once that house was gone, we were like, well, we could either like back out of all this and like just stay, or we could look and we could put our house on the market without anywhere to go. And that was horrifying.
Yeah, because it's like,
for you.
Well, I'm not that big of a risk taker. I want a sure thing if we're gonna do something, but you've never been that way. So, but it was like one of those. Our realtor was like, There's no point in me taking you to other houses unless your house is on the market.
Yeah, she was like, you have to put your house
the housing market in Franklin is insane. So like, basically, you better have a legitimate offer to put on a house, or you're not getting it. So, I remember we were like, okay, so.
Well, it was COVID.
Well, we didn't know
we had no idea if the market was good.
We didn't know
what
if
interest rates were doing.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of scary.
We didn't
and
know
honestly,
if people
looking
were gonna,
back, like, yikes.
We didn't know if people were going to stop putting their houses for sale because of
and
COVID.
And they did. They did.
Yeah, we got really lucky.
The next like whole phase of this for us was, okay, so our house went on the market and everyone was like, where the heck are you going? And we're like, we don't really know. And we walked through a few houses. It was like 3 houses.
Oh,
and
heck no.
One of them I was like, oh, man, it could be a really cool project house, but for the price, it was already at the top of our budget. And I was like,
it was more than we wanted to
what
pay.
The heck? It was on an acre.
And it needed completely renovated.
It was a gut job. And some of it, like, there was no potential to open it up because of where the...
And that one actually sat on the market for a long time for that reason.
It's still on the market. Anyway, so our house sold in...
A day.
We had... It was like over 30 showings, I think.
It started out like the first hour, we got like 10 showings, and she's like, okay, you might as well just leave for the day because more people are contacting me. We got like offers.
They did basically an open house.
Yeah, we got offers on it like before anybody even came in because people wanted to.
We had 11 offers from that day.
Yeah, but even before people saw it,
like
they were putting in offers because they wanted to snatch it before people walked through it.
We did a lot of work on that house, and it showed very well because we kept things pretty put away. And it was very functional. Like, even though it was small, we made it very functional, and that was the goal for that house. And so I feel like I kind of won in that area.
Our realtor told us, like, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did, get it sold in that time frame or at that price if we hadn't put the sweat equity into it.
Yeah,
so
we did it all ourselves. We didn't hire anything.
We didn't hire anything.
Just like one little bit of electrical when we knocked down that wall.
That's true.
I think it was like, but it was a friend and it was easy. So anyway. So we were looking for a house. One was disgusting. One was just like overpriced for what it was. Did we look at 3 or was it just 2?
Well, there was a third one that sold right before, like the day before we put our house on the market. So we're like, no. But I mean, we were kind of okay because we had
been on the market forever.
We had been. I mean, our list was pretty. It was a dream wish list of things we wanted. In this area there's a low water table, so like hardly anything has a basement, but we wanted a basement, and we wanted room to host people. We didn't want to move out of Franklin. We didn't want to have to go to one of the surrounding areas like Greenwood or Bargersville or anything like that. And so it was really tough because it looked like we weren't going to have any options in Franklin.
Yeah, like nothing was for sale. Except for in like one of the neighborhoods, there was a few that were for sale, but again, top of our price range, lower square footage, no yards. And so we were like, crap, we're gonna have to sacrifice our yard because we had such a beautiful yard. So then, whenever all this went down, we have a friend from our church who is now our neighbor that contacted us and said, hey, so I know you're homeless. I might know something.
About to be homeless. We were able to negotiate like...
We were only homeless for a week. It was 6 days.
Yeah, but when we were able to negotiate the closing date on our house to be like a month and a half after that day of showings where we accepted the offer.
Yeah,
so they gave us several weeks to find a house.
Our neighbor contacted us and was like, so I know that our across the street neighbor is currently stuck in Florida because of COVID. They're snowbirds, so they live in Florida half the year.
Oh my god.
Cut that out. They live in Florida half the year. So she was like, they were talking about putting their house on the market in the spring, but COVID hit, and so they got stuck in Florida. They're staying there until they know more. But I know that they were looking to sell like this year, and so I'm kind of curious if I can get a hold of them, what their timeline is. So I was like, and she had mentioned that she had no idea what this house looked like. She just knew it was on a big lot. It's an acre, and she knew that the owners had lived here since they built it. I think that's about all she knew though. She's like, I think they did some renovations a few years ago, but I have no idea what they look like. They're an older couple, so I guarantee they're probably not up to what you would want.
But But that's fine. We don't mind doing fixer-uppers.
I love fixer-upper. I was like, an acre, like, that's bigger than what we had at that time.
It was in Franklin, but literally like a block outside the city limit, so it's kind of in the country, but it's really like you just drive a block and you're in town. So it's like perfect location in Franklin.
In a small
has
neighborhood.
A walkout basement.
We have neighbors, but everyone's pretty spaced out, which is really nice. And all of our neighbors are so nice.
And we knew it's a small neighborhood. There's only like 25 lots in this neighborhood, but we knew, like, because we went to these neighbors are from our church and are involved in our ministry areas, and so we'd been to their house before, and we'd left. You know, this was like shortly after we moved here, so like 4 years ago, and we were like, someday I'd love to live in that neighborhood.
Yeah, we literally said those words, like, I want to live in this neighborhood.
And ironically, this neighbor used to live across the street from the house we just moved from.
And they had just moved when we moved to Franklin. So, like, we would have been neighbors there, but now we're neighbors. So anyway.
Basically, we just followed them.
Yeah, it was kind of a hot mess, though, because they were in Florida, so it was really hard to contact them. We also were, like, okay with doing for sale by owner, but none of us knew what we were doing. And so there's just, like, some communication falters. I remember just kind of being like, you know, like, this is super chaotic.
We're going to be homeless.
Yeah. But for some reason, I always say this, like, the whole time I just had this, like, peace. I was not anxious. I was not stressed out.
And I did too, which was weird because I'm usually not at peace out.
I, like, knew, I just knew this was going to be our house. Like, we walked through it. Her daughter walked us through it. Their daughter, like, the owner's daughter, walked us through it. And we were like, okay, definitely the size we want. It checks everything. Literally everything on our list.
Except the open concept upstairs, which is...
plans for that.
It's not a deal breaker.
I wanted there to be the ability to have open concept, not necessarily like open concept to start, because a lot of homes don't have open concept.
Yeah.
So I just wanted there to be like at the one house that had that did not have open concept, like there was no way you could make it open concept because you would lose a bathroom, a closet, like there was no way. But here, all you have to do is get rid of a wall, and it's open concept. So that was what we were looking for.
It's a very central, load-bearing wall.
Yeah, it's a very expensive wall.
But someday it's possible.
Will happen. Anyway, we walked through it and, like, immediately we're like, this is it. Like, obviously painting. The renovations they had done in their kitchen, like, even though, like, they ended up adding a wall, there's some things I would do differently, but, like, the cabinets are white, counters are quartz and white, there's stainless steel appliances, like, everything I would have chosen, like, there's not much to change in the kitchen other than, like, someday we would just want to reconfigure everything. But
which means all our countertops that we finally love, we're going to have to...
Yeah, it's fine.
But it's good because it'll be several years probably before we can afford that.
Yeah.
Unless this blows up. So, subscribe and...
like and share.
Yeah, all the things.
Fund our new house. Let's not put that in there.
Sign up on our Patreon. No.
It's just been an exciting season of change and, now, I mean, Ezra was 5 months when we moved here, so I feel like now he's lived here longer than our last house, and, like, it's kind of starting to feel like home. It is interesting when you move, like, I wanted to move. I wanted to be here. I wanted more space. That first 6 months, I'm like, I'm homesick. Like, it's stupid. I don't know.
We really loved our old house.
Yeah.
So.
And, like, around Christmas time, I got a little, like, wave of it again, because it's like I'm setting up Christmas decorations, and it just doesn't feel right. It's not... Our decorations look different here. There's not as many surfaces. Like, I don't know. I had just, like, custom made everything in our last house to be exactly the way I wanted it. And it takes time to do that. And it took 4 years for us to do that in our last house. And now we have 2 kids, and it takes a lot longer. So, yeah. That's kind of the explanation, though. We ended up living with my parents for 6 days in the in-between. And then they even, like, the owners of this house were seriously a godsend. Like, they let us store all of our stuff in their garage so we didn't have to pay for storage.
For those 6 days.
Which was a liability to them, really. Like, they're so sweet for letting us do that.
And we talked about all the stuff, and
they left a bunch of toys for Zeke. They were willing to leave us, like, certain furniture that they didn't want to move.
Left us their riding lawnmower. This is how great they are. Like, they also moved up their timeline for us because they knew our house was sold.
They might have just moved in to their new house.
Well, if there were no delays, because they were building on another part of Franklin and construction.
They were building like a retirement community.
Yeah. Who knows how delayed construction is in COVID? Yeah. So it's like they went to live with one of their kids.
In their basement.
They owe us. They've crashed at our house more times than we can count.
It's nuts that they did that for us, though.
Yeah, we feel super fortunate and blessed because of it, and
they just
don't
kept
take it for
saying
granted.
they really wanted a young, sweet family to move in, and I feel good being that young, sweet family. So I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt very spoiled in that season.
And because of moving out, because we didn't know if we were financially going to be able to even move from our old house, which is why we were so set on staying it for so long.
Oh, this is fun to talk about.
But we were able to reduce all of our bills, all our debt bills, because we were able to use some of that money to pay off those student loans.
Yeah. We made a lot of money on our last house because of the market and because of the work we did. We shocked our realtor. She was like, you'll never, because someone offered way high. We were like, let's take that offer. And she was like, it'll never appraise for that amount, so you'll never be able to get that out of it because a bank won't approve a loan for more than the house is worth. And we were like, okay, well, we still want to accept it.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, she was like, well, I'll do cartwheels down your street if that comes back appraised. And anyway, the appraiser was like, even that, like, he was so sweet. And you're not really supposed to talk to an appraiser, but like I was talking to him the whole time. And he was just very, very sweet. And anyway,
he
walked out of the house.
He was like your dad is what he was like. And he probably looked at you like his daughter because he talked about his daughter.
Yeah, and he walked out of her house, and I was like, that just got appraised. Like, I just knew. And so then our realtor calls us, and she's like, well, if you look out your window, I'm going to be doing cartwheels here soon.
She lived on our street.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. It was nuts. It was so crazy.
She lived in the neighborhood, she's been a realtor for decades, knows the area. Yeah. And was like, your house is not going to appraise for that.
Yeah. So we ended up making, like a lot, enough to pay off our student loans, pay for like some of the initial costs of moving, like
some medical debt, odds and ends, like
our medical.
So really, like our month to month, like utilities and not even our utilities, but our like mortgage definitely went up here because it's a bigger house and it cost more than our other house. But with all the other expenses being brought down, it turned out to be a much better financial situation for us.
Yeah, it's better. It's not. It didn't just even out. We actually have more wiggle room, which is
kind of crazy,
mind-blowing to think that I was like thinking that we would have to stay in that house forever and just like go through all the sleep deprivation and all that crap. So it's been a very positive move for us. But in any year that you move, it's just getting settled looks very different, and it takes forever to get settled in a house and to get things the way you want it, especially when it's an old house that like some like our closets just aren't very functional, and like there's tons of closets, we have so much space, but I feel like our stuff is just kind of everywhere still.
It takes a while to get settled.
And we've projects to do.
Buried in projects since we moved here. So
when I got pregnant with Ezra, I quit my job again. I have high risk pregnancies, and I just was kind of at that mental state where I was like, I'm just done working. I want to be with my kids. I want to be present for Zeke.
It's not worth it to pay for the extra daycare.
And at that time, your video stuff had picked up a lot, and I was like, okay, I think we can take that leap of faith and just hope that everything works out okay financially. So I ended up quitting my job. I was a hairstylist. I loved my job, but it was exhausting, and like mentally exhausting and physically exhausting. So I'm very kind of thankful to be through that season, but at the same time, still feel like that underlying guilt because there's a lot of people that are sad that I'm gone. It's fine. Sorry people. But I have a complete peace about where I am in life right now, and it's also really helped me through like people pleasing things. Like I used to be a major people pleaser, and now I'm just kind of like, that's not best for my family. No. And and I have no issue saying no now, and I think it's grown me a lot to start staying home.
Although there is a balance in there somewhere. But
for sure. I don't always say no. I'm just saying.
Knowing just where you came from.
Yes, I'm a lot healthier.
It's kind of good.
Yeah.
Balance is key.
For sure. But now that I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm going a little crazy. You just, especially in the year of COVID, it's like you're alone with your kids all the time. And like, it's fulfilling in its own way, but there are times where it's just like, man, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Like I'm busy all the time. My hands are so full, but I'm bored. Like, and it's just the stage of babies and toddlers, and it's like, Zeke is getting to the point where he can have a conversation with me and he's a little bit more engaging, but like, I just feel like my brain is melting, like, because it's not being utilized. And so.
And we've had all these ambitions for other stuff that we want to do.
Forever.
Including things with this channel. So I know a lot of people get to January and they're like, here's new goals, here's what we want to do. We haven't shown that we'll be consistent with it, but this is what we want to do, and New Year's resolution. So we've actually spent the better part of last year, even when we weren't vlogging, like actually preparing for 2021, knowing like we've got some months to prepare. change some routines so that we can know that we'll have the margin to be able to do it effectively moving forward. We have all these house projects. We like, to look back on these kinds of videos. So why don't we just be more strategic about it and work smarter, not harder?
Yeah.
So,
and I want to like
even though
log
we'll
our
be working
lives.
harder.
I want to like look back on our lives. Like we take home videos, we do all this. So why don't we do it intentionally and put it somewhere and just see if anything comes of it? And then it could be considered like my job, even though like being a stay-at-home mom is my job. But I just feel like there's I'm always YouTubing things. I'm always like looking at blogs for recipes and for different hacks. And so it's like, I can do that. Like I've streamlined my abilities, like, and I feel like I've gotten in really good habits and routines for the most part. And there's definitely days, like, don't hear me say that I like put a bra on every day, because I don't. I have one on today.
I was like...
Kind of. I think it's like a sports bra. Wow. So I feel like I want to be able to share that, and I feel like I want to be able to use my voice to promote like positivity and growth and
how to just really maximize your life and your home life specifically.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
You've been learning, like we've set up a blog. You've learned how to update that. You've learned how to edit.
I learned how to edit,
which is
on
big.
my computer. Yeah.
Because you used to do photography, so you have the eye for the creative stuff, and you're good at that. But have learned some
technology side is
because I don't really have a whole lot of spare time to do some of that, and that's kind of what I was doing before.
That's honestly been what's stopping us, is like he knows how to do everything, but like he doesn't have the time. I have the time, but like technology scares the crap out of me. I'm not good at it. I get frustrated, and then I just like shut my computer and I'm done. But
you've been doing better.
Yeah.
We've been, even though we haven't posted them, we've been vlogging and recording some.
We've got a lot of stuff to post, but we had to
some
post
projects
this
that
first.
we've been doing. Yeah, but we've not been posting any of those because we wanted to post this first.
Because it'll be like, oh, they moved. What?
So we do have some backlogged footage and stuff to share with you guys as far as projects we've done. Hopefully that'll be helpful to you if you like doing house projects and on a budget and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Toxin-free living.
I've been learning a lot about just like
meal prepping.
It's funny, in the year of 2020, you have extra time to Google and to really look at the back of your boxes and ingredients and stuff. And it's like, I have a lot of like health issues, which there'll be a whole like lots of videos on PCOS and hormone health and like thyroid health and all the things. But it's not something I'm like super passionate about and want to share more about. But this year my health like took a turn for the worse, and so I've done a lot of like ridding of toxins and ridding of like just stuff in our house that's like, oh, that is not good for you. That's a known carcinogen. So I have lots to share. I like learned how to make my own things, and I want to share that stuff, and I want to be creative with it. So
basically the future of the channel is going to be more strategic, more consistent, and hopefully just more helpful too, and not just like when we originally started this channel, we just kind of were like, we want to be able to document some of our home videos and be able to look back on things. We still want to do that.
So if you look at our channel right now, a lot of it is home videos, and that's fun too. And we will still be posting some of that stuff too, just for my memory's sake. But I want to add home projects.
We also want to add value for people who may want to watch or ride along on this journey with us. There's, I like how you said just you feel like you have a voice, and I feel like you have a voice, and just want to be able to share a lot of things.
But not in front of a public crowd.
Yeah.
Public speaking's not my thing.
It scares you a little bit, even though you sing in front of people all the time.
I sing in front of people, yeah. That would be fun too. We should do some music videos.
Those might be coming. So, I guess the idea is moving forward. We've laid the groundwork to be able to be more strategic and consistent with the videos and more valuable with the videos that we post on the channel moving forward. Yeah, and now that our kids are in the stages that they are, like Zeke is 3, he turned 3 last October, and then Ezra just turned 1 in December. Check out their birthday videos. But they are just a lot. Like, they're still demanding as heck some days, but there are days where they both take naps at the same time. They're actually sleeping right now.
Like, don't curse it though, like...
We're kind of talking quietly because Zeke is right down that hallway.
Yeah. But, like, there's just some days where things are like, okay, I maybe could whip out my computer or film something, even though they're awake. And for a while there, like, that was not the case. Like, that's another thing. Like, we wanted to do all this last year, and I had ambitions and goals to film everything, but, like, it was nuts. Like, Ezra was a hard baby in his own way. More, not like in being a hard baby, but like he had so many appointments and my schedule was just so tight and full.
And we don't have family in town that can come and just help with the kids.
Yeah,
on
so
a moment's
whenever
notice.
we have help, it's like help. I don't want to overuse our help. We have help, but it's like I'm very hesitant to just like reach out and be like, hey, can you watch the kids again? So I'm going to try to get better at that just to give me a little bit more margin, but yeah.
Yeah, and we have rearranged our schedules and shown some consistency with that as far as like when we are able to get things done, like even if they don't nap. So like they almost never have issues going down at night. So even if we miss nap, then there's still time in the evenings where we can work on stuff. And
that's one of the big things this year. We're trying to prioritize our time a lot better because
it can be easy to just shut off. And
watching How I Met Your Mother every night is not necessarily going to get you anywhere in life.
Nor do we endorse that show.
It's really funny.
It's kind of funny though.
Also very bad.
It's almost like it's so bad sometimes you just that's why it's funny. It's because it's so unrealistically bad.
Yeah. Let's hope, right? Maybe people are like that. Maybe we just think that's unrealistic, but maybe it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that how New York life is? Comment below. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
We'll stop being so cheesy, maybe. I don't know. It's just
probably not. But especially me.
We're still getting used to this. Oh, one of my big hesitations with vlogging was fear. Because when I first started watching vlogs when I was pregnant with Zeke, I was like looking up birthing stuff and like all the pregnancy tips. And it was like my first time on YouTube. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's vloggers out there.
Like, because YouTube used to be like, when we were growing up, it was like oh, you go to watch funny videos or cat videos or something. Yeah. And it's like, but now it's like,
oh my gosh,
it's legitimized.
There's people on here that do this for a living. And I remember at the time just kind of in the back of my mind being like, these people like talk to cameras all day. Like it felt stupid to me, even though I watched it and I loved it. And it added to my life. I remember in that season, like also finding a bunch of hormone help and stuff like that. But still in the back of my mind being like, this is kind of crazy that people do this. But also at the same time saying to myself, like, I want to do this someday. Like I followed some families that like, they have so much documented of their kids and like it's organized. And someday if their kids want to go back to like my 4th birthday or like this experience or this is like they can literally find it themselves and I don't have to like I always have to ask my parents can we pull out the home videos and like then we have to like dig through the DVD pile because they did have them switched over to DVD but it's just so much easier if it's on YouTube. And so I just remember even thinking at the time like I want to do this someday but I didn't know if it was practical. I also I was scared of what people would think if I'm like talking to a camera all day. It feels stupid, it really does. But I like it and it's fun and I know that it's going to benefit my family. So who cares? My people-pleasing days are over, right?
Kiss them goodbye.
Anyway, we should wrap this up.
We should. I'm not going to lie, I kind of zoned out during the last part of what you were saying. I got my mind started thinking.
About how I felt like YouTube was stupid and now
I know, I was listening to I was just in and out mentally. I'm kind of in a daze right now.
Okay, well, I have to pee, so.
Alright. That's basically an updated video. Where we're at, where we've been, and where we're heading. Going.
Ready? Let's try again.
And where we're
heading.
Going.
What the heck? Heading.
Heading?
Where we're not like going.
Okay.
And where we're going.
Nailed it.
Anyway, so follow along
So
for
cheesy.
home stuff and literally all the things. Also, I'm gonna link my blog. I'm gonna be posting like step by step of like how to do certain things and just more.
If you're more of a reader than a watcher, like if this video drove you crazy.
Which it drove me crazy, so you're normal. If you're still here, you're not normal.
But we love you nonetheless.
So yeah, I'm gonna be posting the link to that below. So
yeah. And we won't ever
all the
post
videos
videos like this again. Probably.
Yes, I know. We don't like to just do these talking head videos.
Alright, so thank you guys for watching, tuning in. Subscribe, give it a like if you liked this, or comment like what your New Year's resolutions are as well.
Yes.
And start a conversation. So
yeah.
that's it for now.
Yeah. Bye.